presented by the Strong Blue Line Foundation and powered by Moose Ridge Coffee in Snake River Landing, Idaho Falls. Welcome to the podcast, where former San Antonio police officer, author, and pastor Tim Rupp walks you through real-life scenarios involving our police officers and digs into the depths of facts and opinions on each case. This is Cop Talk, and it starts now.
Hello and welcome to the Strong Blue Line's Cop Talk. I'm Tim Rupp in the Rev.FM studio in beautiful Idaho Falls. Here with me is station manager Gary Austin. And Gary, we had some technical glitches just before we came on the air.
Tim.
Yes, we did. No, it wasn't Tim. It was Gary.
Yes, we did. We had a few glitches.
We were not properly prepared, were we, Gary?
No.
Okay.
We were not, Tim, but we are now.
But
we're
we
good
are
to
now.
go.
We're going, we're rolling.
And nobody knows any different.
Are we recording? Do we have it?
Yeah, we're
okay,
recording.
We're good. Okay. I don't want to just be here chit-chatting with you.
We got a show to do.
Let's do this show. That's pretty good, though, Gary. That's the first time in what? 2.5 years? 2.5 years.
2.5 years.
And we had a technical glitch.
Yeah, weird.
Anyways, hey, we're going to talk about the Michael Brown shooting. Remember that? Back in Ferguson, Michael Brown put Ferguson, Mississippi on the map, I think.
Yeah, I think so, too.
Anyways, here we are, October 9th, well into fall. You know, the Thanksgiving coming. Thanksgiving's coming next month. This month is what that other...
Yeah,
Halloween they call it. The alternative Halloween.
Yeah.
And here at Water Springs, they have Night the Light. Hey, and we weren't going to do a promo on this, were we?
No.
Well, yeah, but we are.
But here we are.
If you have no place to, if you have you want to go someplace to take your kids where they can wear their costumes and come out and get candy and play games, come to Water Springs Church.
Yeah.
They have
pretty cool.
A big deal. Yeah, it's called Night the Light. I think it starts like at 5:30 or 6 o'clock, something like that.
Yeah.
So it starts early, gets over like at 8 o'clock. Uh-huh. So come, safe place.
Yep.
Good
They're
candy.
Doing Operation Christmas Child.
Yeah, the Operation Christmas Child. Yeah, and we think, well, Christmas, that's still 2 months off. But Operation Christmas Child, they're getting the things for the children now because they mail them out like right around Thanksgiving, maybe before Thanksgiving or something like that. So we need to get those things. And he said, well, what's Operation Christmas Child? That's through the Billy Graham. Franklin Graham, I think, started that. Samaritan's Purse and that. And they get these gift boxes, if you will, for the kids. And man, I've wrapped some of them before, and it's just some pretty cool stuff in there.
Yeah,
and if there's things for girls and there's things for boys, and they get toys and they get this stuff.
Yeah,
and most importantly, they get the gospel, and they know somebody loves them. They know God loves them.
Good stuff.
It really is. So so you can pick up stuff and donate to it, or you can donate cash if you'd like to. Yeah, and help out with all that stuff. So we appreciate it. All that stuff's coming up, man. The end of the year is winding down. Next month, less than a month from now, is the general election.
Wow. That is
President
coming up
of the United States. Wow. That is. It's coming up quick, and man, before you know it, it will be here, and we will have a new president.
Yep.
And so we will figure all that out. Okay. Well, let's get to what we're looking at here. We're looking at end of watch, October 9th. We're honoring those officers who were killed in the line of duty on this date in history. And I have one, not a whole lot of information. This comes out of Shoalhaven County Sheriff's Office, New York.
Oh.
End of watch Friday, October 9th, 1818.
Oh, my goodness.
Yep. And this is Deputy Sheriff William Huddleston. Deputy Huddleston went to a residence to serve papers and to collect a fine. Again, here's a minor deal, right?
Yeah.
Just collect some fine, probably had to pay 2 cents or something back then.
Yeah.
The occupant of the residence beat Deputy Huddleston to death with a wooden stake.
Wow.
Then buried his body in a shallow grave on his farm and then fled to Canada.
Oh, my goodness.
On Huddleston's horse. Gary, what? This is terrible. He was arrested and returned to New York, where he was convicted of Deputy Huddleston's murder and hanged on March 19th, 1819. So with 6 months after his death, he'd already fled, got caught, brought back, and hanged to death. Deputy Huddleston had been with Shohari, I guess how you pronounce it. I apologize if I don't pronounce that right. A sheriff's department for 2 years. He survived for it by his wife, 60 years old.
Wow.
So here this guy in 1818, 58 years old, decides to become a deputy sheriff.
Yeah. 58 years old.
I mean, that is early in our history.
Yeah.
So I'm sure he was probably doing this part-time or something. I'm thinking, wow.
Yeah.
Anyways, what do you have there?
I'll be darned. Well, this is Master Trooper Adam Christopher Gobert?
Gobert, I think that's right.
Gobert.
I think that's correct.
Yeah, Louisiana State Police, Louisiana.
French, I was going to say. Yeah, so it sounds French. There you go.
Gobert. 2021 end of watch, October 9th. So a man shot and wounded 2 of his neighbors before stealing a pickup truck, and then the suspect drove to his half-sister's home, and he murdered her and wounded her husband. A short time later, the man opened fire on a Louisiana State trooper who attempted to pull the truck over, and so the suspect fled and remained at large throughout the day while a massive manhunt was undertaken. So, and it doesn't really say, but at some point during the incident, Trooper Gobert was shot and killed from ambush as he sat in his patrol car near the intersection of where he was sitting, and so the subject was arrested later that night. Trooper Gobert was a United States Army and Louisiana National Guard veteran. He had served with the Louisiana State Police for 19 years, survived by his parents, 2 sisters, and 2 children. 47 years old.
Yeah, when you get to, so he was just setting up on the perimeter somewhere, just in his police car, and the guy ambushed him.
Yeah.
Try to get away. When you have that many years on, nearly 20 years on the police, in the police, and you're 47 years old, you're not a young pup.
Yeah.
You've been around for a while. Not that you become complacent. I don't think you become complacent, but you just kind of think you're going to make it. Retirement's just around the corner. Got a couple more years to go. I don't know. Maybe he had 2, 3, 4, 5 years to go or whatever. I'm not sure. Maybe another 10 or something. He's still 47 years old, and then you get shot and killed.
It's sad.
It is.
It's a dangerous job.
It is. We go
even
back
at
to that.
I mean, at risk, just sitting in your car.
Sitting in your car, and anyways. Well, so we want to honor these officers, and we appreciate it. And one way to honor is just look up and you can read about it. And there's places on there that you can put your comments.
Cool.
You can, like, some of these comments I've seen from comments on officers who have died, like in the 1800s, and people just say, thank you for your service. We appreciate that.
Huh?
God rest your soul. Just kind of like, hey, we're remembering you.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of cool. So you can go to that website and check it out. So, Gary, we're talking about this Michael Brown shooting. This was 10 years ago. And just before we came on air, I asked, I said, what do you remember about the Michael Brown shooting?
Yeah.
And what is it? What is it people remember?
It's a hands up or hands up, don't shoot.
Hands up, hands up, don't shoot. That's the big thing that's remembered about that. Mm-hmm. But is that what really happened? Because what the press released and what a lot of people thought, and what caused all the riots and stuff in Ferguson and stuff, and this was 10 years ago. So this was back in 2014 when this happened. It happened on August the 9th, 2014. So now we're in October the 9th, 2024. So it's been 10 years and 2 months. And I just like to go through this article. It's an opinion piece from Law Enforcement Today. So realize it is an opinion piece. But let's just look at the facts of what actually came out in Ferguson, Montgomery. It says, you may not realize it, but August 9th marked the 10th anniversary of a promising young black man named Michael Brown, who was walking down the streets of Ferguson, Missouri, with a friend minding his own business, getting shot and killed by a racist police officer who was hunting down black men while patrolling the city. Now that's what kind of came out. Mm-hmm. And then he says, here's the writer of the article here, Pat Droney is one who wrote this. Mr. Droney says this, at least that's what the Associated Press would have you to believe. In a story that shows clearly why the mainstream media is called fake news, that is precisely what the writer Jim Salter would have you to believe. From the piece, quote, now this is quoting Jim Salter from an AP piece, quote, Michael Brown and a friend were walking along Canfield Drive when Officer Darren Wilson, for no reason according to Salter, drove up to them and told them to get on the sidewalk. A fight ensued, and fearing for his life, the teenager ran. Though Brown was unarmed, Wilson described Brown as menacing at 6'4" and claimed that they came at the officer. But some nearby residents said Brown had his hands up in surrender when Wilson shot him. So what was going on here, Gary? The report from the AP News is that this officer was driving down the street and he saw these two officers and told him, he saw these two black males walking, and he pulled over and told them to get up on the sidewalk. And then the people said that the officer yelled at him or something, and he took off and he ran, and he was shot in the back. Oh. That's what, he put his hands up and he turned around and he was shot in the back. All the above, and then the article goes on by Pat Droney. All the above, of course, is a gigantic lie. It also it also leaves out the context under which Wilson stopped Brown. Leaving the context out of this event is a disservice to readers. However, Salter doesn't seem to care. Don't let the facts get in the way of a good cops are racist article. This article says. So, what? Here we go back to context, Gary. And if anybody goes to Water Springs Church anytime, they're going to hear going to hear the three words: context, context, context. Because as you're looking at Scripture, you're reading the Bible. It's so important to read it within the context. Yeah, the context of Scripture itself, the book itself you're reading it from, and the entire Bible, but also the cultural context of that time. Well, it's so important. Any news story needs to be understood in context. So let's look at the context, what's going on. And this comes from the Department of Justice, DOJ report. The following would really happen. Now, this was the DOJ. Brown and Witness 101 is Brown's friend, had just come from the Ferguson Market in Liquor, referred to as the Ferguson Market, a nearby convenience store where at approximately 11:53 a.m., Brown stole several packages of cigarillos, as captured on the store surveillance video. When the store clerk tried to stop Brown, Brown used his physical size to stand over him and forcefully shove him away. As a result, FPD dispatch call went out over the police radio for a stealing in progress. So what happened before the contact with Officer Wilson is that Brown stole some items.
Oh, okay.
And he got away. He stole some cigarettes or cigarillos. I'm not sure what them are, but some kind of tobacco product. And a call went out for a stealing in process. Wilson was dispatched to the call. So the officer was dispatched to the call. Point of information: a shoplifting that turns into physical, in most jurisdictions, of larceny turns into robbery. Let me comment on that real quick. Gary, let's say you're a store clerk at this convenience store, and I come in and I grab some cigarettes off the counter that's behind you, and I grab them and you say, hey, don't do that. I grab them and I laugh at you and I run off. That is a theft. Okay, if it's under a couple $100 or whatever, it's a misdemeanor theft. Okay. That's all it is. Same thing happens. I go in, I grab them, and you say, hey, don't do anything, and I push you. That goes from a theft to a robbery. Oh. Because physical force is used in the commission of a theft. So I'm using physical force against you to commit a theft. That goes from theft to robbery. And robbery is a felony. Yeah. So we're talking about a felony here, So we're not talking about minor shoplifting. We're talking about a felony offense. Wilson was dispatched to the call. Okay, that might have been an important fact for Salter, but to put in the article, the anniversary of Brown's death. However, that would have interfered with the point that Salter was apparently trying to make, that Wilson murdered Brown in cold blood for walking down the street. So the AP never reported that it was a robbery.
Mm-hmm.
When Wilson saw Brown and his friend walking down the street and had no doubt due to Brown's size, he asked for backup. Now, not only would he ask for backup because of Brown's size, possibly, we don't know, but there were two suspects there,
mm-hmm.
and he was looking to a robbery.
Right.
And the guy used physical force, and the guy is a big guy.
Yeah.
So if he didn't ask for backup, he would have been chastised as a police officer.
Mm-hmm.
Like, why, tactically speaking, you ought to ask for backup. Wilson backed up his SUV, that's his patrol vehicle. He had an SUV, and parked at an angle, blocking most of both lanes of traffic. Now, you got to remember that this is like a residential street. It wasn't like it's a busy street or anything.
Yeah.
And stopping Brown and witness 101 from walking any further. Wilson attempted to open the driver's door of his vehicle, but as it swung open, the door came into contact with Brown's body, and either rebounded closed or Brown pushed it closed. So he went to get out of his car, and Brown was right there on top of him.
Uh-huh.
And either Brown shoved the door closed, he may have, or it just hit Brown and it closed.
Okay.
Look again at what Salter wrote for the AP. Quote, a fight ensued, and fearing for his life, the teenager ran. Notice how they use words. Words mean something. The teenager fled. How about the robbery suspect?
Mm-hmm.
But anyways, he said he fled. But that is not what Wilson, other witnesses, nor the evidence, according to the Obama DOJ, found. In fact, the claim that the, quote, teenager ran is disingenuous. Wilson and other witnesses stated that Brown then reached into the SUV through the open driver's window and punched and grabbed Wilson. This is corroborated by the bruising on Wilson's jaw and scratches on his neck, the presence of Brown's DNA on Wilson's collar, shirt, and pants, and Wilson's DNA on Brown's palm. So it was pretty evidence that Brown was punching the officer. He reached in, he was punching him in the face. Wilson told prosecutors and investigators that he responded to Brown reaching into the SUV and punching him by withdrawing his gun because he could not access less lethal weapons while seated inside the SUV. Brown then grabbed the weapon and struggled with Wilson to gain control of it. Wilson fired, striking Brown in the hand. Autopsy results in bullet trajectory, skin from Brown's palm on the outside of the SUV door, as well as Brown's DNA on the side of the driver's door, corroborate Wilson's account that during the struggle, Brown used his right hand to grab and attempt to control Wilson's gun. So Wilson said, he pulled out his gun, Brown grabbed it.
Mm-hmm.
So now we have a fight over a gun.
Right.
This is not going to end well either way. And Brown fired the gun. He said he fired it and went through his hand. And all that was collaborated. So somebody can't say, well, he just made that up. He didn't make it up.
No.
All the physical evidence backs up what Officer Wilson said. The DOJ report confirmed Wilson's account of the fact that Brown's hand was inside the gun in close proximity, which was also confirmed by 3 separate independent autopsies. So this guy was autopsied a lot of times.
Mm-hmm.
After Brown assaulted Wilson, he then began to run. This is where the witness's account hatched that hands were up, don't shoot fallacy that has been disproven by other witnesses as well as forensic evidence. Wilson chased Brown, and despite some contending that Wilson shot Brown in the back as he fled, there is no forensic evidence to support that. Those witnesses' accounts cannot be relied upon in a prosecution because they have given accounts that are inconsistent with the physical and forensic evidence, or are significantly inconsistent with their own prior statements made throughout the investigation. In other words, some of these people, Gary, gave accounts that's like, that's not what happened because the physical evidence, it's an impossibility for that to happen. Or they lied about it. They told one story, then they came back and they told a different story. So, okay, are you lying now or did you lie the first time?
Yeah.
You're not a credible witness. We used to say, that's not a credible witness, that's an incredible witness. Brown ran at least 180 feet away from the SUV as verified by the location of the bloodstains on the roadway, which DNA analysis confirmed was Brown's blood. Brown then turned around and came back towards Wilson. Remember, he shot in the hand at this time. That was it. He had falling to death approximately 21.6 feet west of the blood on the roadway. Those witnesses' accounts stated that Brown never came back toward Wilson, could not be relied upon in a prosecution because their accounts cannot be reconciled with the DNA bloodstain evidence or other credible witnesses' account. Several witnesses, according to the DOJ report, stated that, quote, that Brown appeared to pose a physical threat to Wilson as he moved toward Wilson. So here comes this big old guy, 6'4", running back towards the officer. The witnesses told the DOJ that as Brown continued to move toward Wilson, Wilson fired at Brown in what appeared to be self-defense and stopped firing once Brown fell to the ground. Wilson stated that he feared Brown would again assault him because of Brown's conduct at the SUV and because Brown moved towards him. Wilson saw Brown reach into his right hand under his T-shirt into what appeared to be his waistband. There's no evidence upon which prosecutors can rely to disprove Wilson's stated subjective belief that he feared for his safety. Then there is the issue of Brown supposedly, and we're almost out of time here.
Wow.
But Brown supposedly holding his hands up to surrender. So what this is showing, Gary, is that the physical evidence corroborates what the officer's recollection of what happened. And though there are witnesses that are neutral witnesses that said, yes, what Officer Wilson said is exactly what happened. This is what happened. Then there are those witnesses that are inconsistent in their own statements. They say one thing, then they change it and say something else. Right. Or what they say does not go along with the physical evidence. But what comes out in the paper? What comes out? Hands up, don't shoot. Hands up. I mean, we had politicians across the country and people marching hands up. That's not what happened.
No.
It's so important to look for, and it's really disheartening, the news media. Now, not all of them, but it's disheartening that anybody that is supposed to report the news does not report the news, but writes an opinion piece of what they believe they want to happen. It is terrible, some of the things that are happening. There's been some changes in the Ferguson Police Department. One of the big changes is this. The force shrunk from 53 officers, not a real big agency, 53 officers, but now they're at 41 officers.
Oh.
And we did the math, Gary. That's almost a 23% decrease in officers. That's a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, think about that. If you had 100 officers, that was you'd be 23 officers short. That's a bunch. So we're hopefully, the truth will come out in these things. The problem is you got to look at the evidence. And that's what police officers do, that they look at the facts. Gary, we are out of time, man. That went quick.
That went so fast.
It's interesting. I like reading them stories. I like reading evidence and stuff like that, man.
I do too. I like
All right. Hey, thanks for listening in. If you have a topic or question you want addressed on Cop Talk, please send me an email. You can email suggestions, questions, comments, or complaints to coptalk@therev.fm. That's coptalk@therev.fm. Thought from the good book today: fret not yourself because of evildoers, and be not envious of the wicked. For the evil man has no future, and the lamp of the wicked will be put out. Thank you for joining us and helping to make the thin blue line a strong blue line.
Cop Talk is presented by the Strong Blue Line Foundation and sponsored by Moose Ridge Coffee in Snake River Landing, Idaho Falls. Questions and comments are always welcome by email to coptalk@therev.fm. Listen, follow, leave a review, and share this podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, or YouTube. And visit thestrongblueline.org to learn how you can be a supporter. Cop Talk is a Rev FM production, produced and edited by Gary Austin. Thank you for joining us on Cop Talk.